Hello! It's a lovely day outside, a rarity in Scotland, but instead of enjoying this once-a-year blossom of sunshine, I'm here to talk to you about something much more important, something close to every stingy, penny-pinching, tight-fitty scrounger in Scotland's heart. Money. In particular, video games that include microtransactions. Firstly, this is focusing mostly on games where players primarily play against other players, like FPS games or RTS games. Microtransactions and paying for power don't really apply as much to cooperative games like Lord of the Rings Online or any other MMO that has a PvE focus. So without further ado, here is a quick rundown of Big Dave's scale of player versus player microtransaction douchebaggery. It goes from 1 to 5, where 5 is sunshine and rainbows and happiness and everything you buy is joyous and fun, where 1 is just downright broken, abusive and you're being exploited and gouged. At the very bottom of the scale, we have games with microtransactions that are designed to be abusive. They exploit the naivety of the player. These can be children, they can be adults that just don't understand how these things work, especially in the market for mobile gaming. That is a big market at the moment that is emerging, and there are a lot of new people coming into that market who don't necessarily understand and completely trust what they are downloading and the platform they're downloading it to. At number 2, we have microtransactions that give a player an advantage, an exclusive advantage over other players who don't pay. It's the realm of pay to win, where players can purchase items that increase their power that non-paying players cannot get through normal play. So at number 3, we're kind of in the middle here. We have microtransactions that give the ability to jump up the power ladder, but they're still required to play the game somewhat to unlock some items. This could be either through XP boosters, or it could be just general unlocking things with real money. Free-to-play players can still reach the top of this ladder. It might take them a longer time, so an example of this would be Tribes Ascend. Number 4 is pretty much the same as 3, however weapons and items that you can buy with real money are more or less balanced. They are side grades to existing weapons, and you can get every single power upgrade from playing the game. A good example of this is Team Fortress 2, where the only thing you can really buy with real money that's unique is cosmetic items like hats. Can't have a Team Fortress player without his own hat, can we now? And finally, number 5, sunshines and rainbows. There are no microtransactions related to power increases, very few, if any, side grades. Most payments are based around cosmetic items or increasing the rate of in-game currency generation. A pure 5 would just be cosmetic. It would be all hats, basically. And I don't think anyone has a pure 5 just yet. It would be nice to see someone with a pure 5 that's actually making money, because the way that 5 falls down is you might not actually be making enough cash off of pure cosmetic items to actually make ends meet. So that was the 1 to 5 scale. Next, I'm going to talk a bit more in depth as to how I came up with the 1 to 5 scale. First off is, what can you actually buy from this online store? Are the items you can buy with in-game currency or real money more powerful than the standard weapons? Are they the same or similar to standard weapons, i.e. side grades, or are they cosmetic only? Obviously, going from 1 at the top to 5 at the bottom, anyone that has more powerful than standard would tend towards a 1, anything with more cosmetic only would tend towards the 5. Are the items that boost generation of in-game currency, do they boost it more than triple, up to triple, or double or less? So obviously again, 1 is more than triple and double or less is towards 5. Are the items that you buy permanent? This is a hard one to figure out where it goes in the 1 to 5 scale. If the items are permanent, then yes, it goes more to a 5. If it's no, they're not permanent, are they time-based, are they limited use, or are they skill-based? Now, most of the time these are going to be limited use items if they're not permanent, and that would be like consumables, 1, 2, 3, 4 use items. Are they time-based? That would be something like All Points Bulletin, where items disappear after 10 days. Or are they skill-based, like the upcoming Dust 314, which, from what I understand, when you die you lose your items. So it's a bit like Minecraft with a pay system. Don't quite know how that works. We're not going to talk about Dust 314, mostly because it's not out yet, so we don't really have any information on it. So while some of those criteria are pretty much concrete as to where it would make the game fall on the scale, pricing is an issue that comes up, but it's more complicated and annoying to work out than just having a list. So really there should be a feel about it. How do you feel when you play the game? Do you feel required to purchase items in order to be competitive? Are the basic items so feeble that you end up being squashed by those with more powerful weapons and items? How long from first play can you unlock a new item? And are the prices reasonable? Do they try and force you to buy more? Does it feel like you have to keep paying in order to keep up competitiveness? Or does it make you feel that paying once is fine and then you don't have to pay any more? You feel like you've supported the dev team and they're quite happy to reward you for that? Or do they feel like you're punishing you for not paying? So really, the more negative you feel towards the pricing system in your heart, in your mind, just what you feel about it, I mean, this is very subjective, this is basically my opinion has gone into this. The worse you feel about the pricing system, the closer to 1 it should be. The better you feel about the pricing system, the closer to 5 it should be. The more likely you are to fork out money, obviously the closer to 5 it should be. So hopefully you get a bit more understanding as to where I came up with these numbers and why certain games are in certain places. I want to focus on 2 games now that have microtransactions in them. The first game is Tribes Ascend, and the second game is All Points Bulletin. These are 2 games that I have played quite a lot over the past couple of years, and I've really enjoyed my time playing with them, but in one case I didn't really enjoy it once they started putting in overpowered weapons into the cash shop, and in the other I'm still playing to this day and enjoying it thoroughly, despite some hiccups along the way. So first up, I'll talk about Tribes Ascend. Tribes Ascend is a free game. You can download it, create an account, log in and play without giving out your card details. There's no one-time payment, no recurring fee. What it does have is the ability to purchase one form of in-game currency. This currency, gold, is used to purchase almost everything in the game. Cosmetic items, classes, weapons, perks. The only thing you can't buy with gold are weapon upgrades. These things boost weapon power directly and are the only way of increasing that power. Although I know some people will debate that some weapons are overpowered, there are no weapons, as of this video, that give an unskilled player the power to wipe the floor with everyone. Weapons that are found to do that tend to get patched within a few days, if not hours. It does feel that the developers do realise what overpowered weapons can do, even if they do let some slip through the net every so often. Almost everything you can buy with gold you can purchase with the other in-game currency, experience, which is gained by playing the game. The only thing you can't buy with experience are cosmetic items, so it doesn't actually matter in that respect. Gold allows the purchasing of double XP boosters, but the amount of XP still relies on how well you played in a game. Indeed, you can still come out of a game with less XP than someone who played really well and had no booster. And do you have to keep paying in order to be competitive? Not really. Since if you pay out for a reasonable chunk of gold the first time round, you can unlock enough to become fairly flexible, and from then on you can just play the game unlocking more things as you go. The game doesn't stop you paying more, but in all honesty you don't really need to enjoy the game. You don't need to pay at all to enjoy the game, but after your first real money transaction you get permanently flagged as a VIP, which gives you an XP bonus every match regardless as to your current booster status. The Tribes Ascend model, in my opinion, is really good. It works for both player and for the developer. It has a nice incentive to pay hard cash without overtly punishing those who don't. The perks of paying once are greater than the perks of playing twice, which shows some smart thinking and, more importantly, some respect for their customers from the developers. On the flip side of this is All Points Bulletin. If anyone has watched any of the other videos on my channel, you'll know how much I love the concept of All Points Bulletin. Partly because it was made by Scots in Scotland in a development studio very close to where I used to live, in the same street I went to university no less, it's safe to say I had a lot of, well, fanboy tendencies towards this game. Originally it was a straight up subscription game. It was billed as somewhat of an MMO FPS, but it wasn't. It was an open world Counter-Strike mixed with a bit of Grand Theft Auto. It was still fun to play for the most part. Once the devs went bankrupt and it got resurrected, it was a free-to-play game with a microtransaction shop. Now, there was more wrong with that game than just the cash shop, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. I might get onto the subject another time, but for now, money. At first it was mostly cosmetic. You could buy a subscription still. You would get a few perks from cosmetic items, faster in-game currency generation, kind of like Tribes would do a year or so later. As you progressed up the contacts by playing the game, you unlocked new weapons, new upgrades for said weapons, and new vehicles and so on. You then had to purchase the weapons from an NPC with the in-game currency that you got from playing the game. When you bought that weapon, it was yours for 10 days, and then it went away, and you had to buy it again. If you didn't subscribe and played maybe 2 hours a day, and over the average skill, you'd probably get enough cash to buy 2 or 3 weapons every 10 days. That would cover 2 main weapons and your side weapon. If you subscribed, you'd easily get double that. I mean, that was fair enough. You could survive on 2 or 3 weapons so long as you were good at them. Subscribers got a bit more flexibility in their choice of weapons though. Every weapon was pretty much balanced into its own niche, and skill and tactics normally won the day, since, you know, it was a team game and all. Then they started selling weapons in the cash shop. They started selling permanent weapons for real money. These were weapons that you could unlock in game that would never expire if you purchased them. Fair enough, you'd say. Make some more money. Except permanent weapons cost about as much as 3 or 4 months worth of subscriptions. Upwards of $80 in some cases. I just felt like they were trying to gouge money out of people. But of course, it got worse. The special weapons arrived. The crack of APB. These weapons were just flat out better than their counterparts. Not by much, but by enough. There was a silenced submachine gun that, while technically the same stats as the regular submachine gun, you couldn't easily tell which direction they were shooting you from because it was near silent. By the time you'd worked out what was shooting you and where they were and returned fire or dove for cover, you'd be 2 hits from dead. Then came the sniper rifle you could sprint with, the shotgun that had the power of an auto shotgun and the range of a pump action, and of course the pistol that acted like a sniper rifle. You could buy them, they would expire after 30 days, and they were cheap. You could either buy one of these for 30 days or buy a subscription for 30 days and pay roughly the same. They were, and no bones about it, pay-to-win items. The fact was they were more powerful than anything you could buy in-game. They weren't incredibly overpowered, a decent team would still stomp on any unskilled player using them, but pit 2 decent teams of the same skill level and, barring any wild luck, the team with the pay-for weapons would win. So yeah, APB has problems with its cash shop. It's not the worst offender by any stretch of the imagination. I would love to talk about some of those worst offenders, but I haven't played them. And I don't want to go off hearsay, I'd rather do it through first-hand experience, but I really don't want to put myself through it. A cursory look through forums, YouTube playthroughs and their FAQs has put me off the games completely. On the flip side of that, I would love to talk about League of Legends. It has a curious microtransaction system that appears to be based around nothing but cosmetic items, but again, I've not played that and I never will because I've heard people playing it and the rage it induces when they play with scrubs, and I don't want to inflict my noobishness upon them. So that was my 1 to 5 scale. You've heard me talk about a couple of games. One that did somewhat right, one that did it slightly wrong. The rule of thumb that I normally use is, does it feel like they focused on the game or the money? Or more succinctly, do I have to pay for fun? In the end, it shouldn't be a split between those who stick to free-to-play or those who splash out and pay-to-play, so long as they can both play for fun, and play without being exploited by crooked devs, or evil accountants, or nasty publishers that seem to have more in common with the stereotypical Scotsman than I do.